Hello guys, and welcome back to another FIFA 19 video on this channel, where today we are going to be reviewing the best controller settings and game settings to optimise your performance in FUT Champions Weekend League and Division Rivals. But before we get into the video, I'd like to remind you guys that if you are new around here, please make sure that you hit the subscribe button, hit the like button if you found this video helpful. So without further ado, we're going to get straight into the settings. Some of them are useful for Ultimate Team, some of them aren't. So these ones right here, all these match ones, they're not helpful unless you want to do career or co-op or whatever you want to do offline. I know co-op's not offline, but and then right, we're going to get into the ones that are important for Ultimate Team and the ones that are going to affect your gameplay. So co-op camera is the one that all the professionals use, all the ones that all the esport players use. I personally prefer the default one, but I'm trying to get used to the co-op one at the moment because it really can boost your play, and I know that most of the community like using it. So if you can get to grips with the co-op camera angle, it is quite hard to use sometimes, but if you can get to grips with using it, then it can really boost your gameplay. So let's not change that. So that's that for the camera setting. You just want to keep the camera height and camera zoom and stuff the same. That doesn't really affect it at all. You can try experimenting with that, but that really won't change anything. It'll make it harder for you if anything. So we're going to move into the visual stuff now. Most of this is just default stuff that you probably won't have to change, like the player name and indicator. This is the player name bar, is the little thing that pops up in the bottom left and right corner, which shows you your player name. So you definitely want to keep that one on, and then the indicator is where the player name pops up above the player's head, which is definitely useful because you don't want to keep looking down into the bottom right or left corner when you could be using that time to see what's going on the pitch. So that's definitely very useful to turn on. And player indicator, just keep that to player name. Yeah, just keep that to player name. You don't really want it on the player number. Player indicator size, keep that on default. You don't really want it obstructing any player. That's the large one, that's the small one. Large one's a bit too big, small one you can't really see it. The default one is perfect. Time score on display, unless you don't want to see the score and the time, then I recommend you keeping that on. Radar 2D, this one's you can choose one really. It doesn't affect the play whatsoever, but it's just a visual thing. And these two here, this basically just changes the colour of the little radar, of the little players on the radar. So this doesn't affect the gameplay, but it does help you to decipher which players are yours and which players aren't. So I know that my players are always white and that the opponents are always blue. I chose those two players because it doesn't really clash with any colours on the pitch. Gamer tag indicator fades, I don't really know what that does. It doesn't really do a lot. Net tension default, net shape default, net meshing default, all of this. And then scrolling lineups you want to turn off, because I'm sure that a lot of you would have been in the situation the second minute of the game when the lineups are still scrolling across the bottom of the screen and you're trying to run down there and it's just blocking your view, and they're pretty annoying. So they don't really do anything. You know what team you put out anyway. You've seen the opponent's team. You really don't need them there. So it's best to just turn those off. So the rules, this is just offline stuff again. You can turn them off if you're playing a friend or something. You want to make game a bit interesting, but they do like custom games now where you don't have injuries and offsides and stuff anyway. So those are pretty much useless. Audio, now this is an interesting one because I turn mine to Spanish, and I actually find it helps me because the English, I know that we've all been in a situation where the commentator says something that makes absolutely no sense, and it just puts you off and it's really distracting. So I put mine to Spanish. It's a bit more entertaining as well. It's quite funny when you score a goal. I'm sure you guys, most of you would have heard what happens then. But I think just change it to Spanish. It's a bit more fun, bit less plain than just English, which I'm sure most of you would have had for most of the time that you've been playing the game. So I just switched that to Spanish. All of this stuff you don't really need to change again unless you're playing offline, which Again, they have custom games modes where you can increase the sprint speed and stuff. These are commonly referred to as sliders, if you've heard the term before. So yeah, you don't need to change those at all. So that's that for the excuse me. That's that for the game settings part of things. Now we're going to get into the controller settings. These things are really what affect your game and can change you from getting 5-6 wins every weekend to getting in excess of 10 really. Some of the things like timed finishing, I still got mine off, but a lot of the pro players swear by it. They think it's really helpful, but I just don't think it's worth the risk, because I tend to spam buttons when I'm in shooting situations, and if you do that, then it just p-rolls off the pitch. So I really can't get on with it, but maybe it's worth giving it a go if you haven't already. So yeah, I just keep that off. Second defender switch icon, that's basically just a thing where you can see what defender you're going to switch to next. That's not really helpful. Well, I'll say it's not really helpful. It is helpful, that's why I've got it on, but it's not really too influential in the game. Pass block assistance, this is basically auto lunge. I'm sure a lot of you don't like it, but with this the urge to turn it off, because it does save you quite a few. It does save quite a few goals. I've seen situations where it does cost people goals, but more times than not it will save you. It will work properly, so don't turn that off unless you really want to concede more stupid goals. So auto switching air balls, if you put it to assist auto, is it auto? It's auto. So if you put it to auto, it just switches to the player. That EA just really need to fix this if they want people to use it. It just switches to a completely wrong player. You're better off just using LB or nudging the right analog stick if you want to change the player that you are with. Auto switching on air balls, so yeah, auto switching on air balls, that's what I've got it on. That is quite helpful to have it on air balls. Manual's pretty crap. It just won't switch for you in air balls. You'll end up losing quite a few aerial battles and conceding quite a few headers. Auto switching auto. We've already discussed that. Auto switching move assistance, none. That really isn't helpful. Pass assistance assisted, all of this stuff assisted. Cross assistance semi. You want this because it allows you to choose your own power, which is important, because if you I have Zlatan. If you have Zlatan on the front post and Rashford on the back post, you can choose the amount of power that will give it to Zlatan and not Rashford. So that's pretty important. That one you need to definitely put on semi. All the rest of the stuff just assisted. Tactical defending is very important. They added this when they added the Frostbite game engine. They added it for a reason. It is really good. If you're switching to Legacy, you're just giving yourself a disadvantage. There's absolutely no reason why you would do that. Analog sprint, yeah, just turn that on. Don't really know what that does. And then we're just going to go through some of the custom settings that you can apply if you want. I think I was talking to some guy a while back, and he said he's pretty good at FIFA. He said to me that he switches his second teammate contain, I think it is, which is the LB button, defense. It's here somewhere. Yeah, teammate contain. He said that he switches that to his A button, because you shouldn't really be using the A button. That's going to cost you really, because players are going to be dragged out of position and stuff. So he said switch RB to A. I couldn't really get on with it, but it is worth a try. If your defense is really bad, really lacking, then I do recommend that you try that, even for 1 or 2 games, just to see if it does improve your play at all. So that is it for this video, guys. If you want me to upload a video with the best custom tactics and best formation, I will be doing that later this weekend or very early next week, so make sure that you stay tuned for that one. But thank you very much for watching, guys, make sure that you hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.